So first question is, which are the main issues affecting the present food and nutrition landscape?
I think by far the issue that is fundamentally shifting the way we talk about food is obesity. In fact, all of the nutrition issues are seen through the eyes of obesity today. I mean, it's such a major epidemic in the world. The chronic disease risks that go up with obesity, the cost to countries in terms of health care and the potential for the future. And unfortunately for the food industry, while we're talking about calorie balance, calories in and calories expended, the main focus has actually been on the calories taken in, and that's essentially through food. So the responsibility of the food industry, how they play with the other leading groups, is going to be pivotal, I think, to not only the perception of the food industry as a responsible player in the future, but even some of their marketing opportunities.
Okay. When talking of food, we were used to think at taste, pleasure, conviviality. Are these still assets at stake, or food is now meaning much more than this?
Well, food is an incredibly complex issue today. We still have the taste and the pleasure and the socialization. That's still probably driving everywhere in the world as the #1 issue with consumers, along with convenience. But what you have much more today is food is a political statement. It's kind of a badge of honor. You have, in terms of the competitive area, you have food as fuel, where you have essentially what we would consider to be foodstuffs now being used as alternative energy resources. So obviously economic pressures there. We have food as risk, where it's not just food safety risk, but it's obesity and all of the chronic health conditions that are risk. But then you have food as ethics, and you have food that talk about sustainability and organic. What's good for us as people, what's good for the environment, what's good for animals, animal welfare. We have locally grown, slow grown, food with a story, the food miles. And all of these become very much sort of statements of who we are as people and what we believe and what our values are. Far more akin to religion today than it is in terms of what we really think of in terms of just the pleasure of eating. And then finally, we have something, again, very different, and that is food as medicine. It's back to the Hippocrates idea that let thy food be thy medicine, and positive health, where it's not enough just to meet our basic nutrition needs, but we want food that will improve our eyesight, that will make us younger, that will improve our skin, the beauty from within, that will provide immune benefits, will keep us more energetic, and will make us really sharp throughout our lifespan. So that's a lot to ask of any one entity, but that's what's being asked of food today.
So what's in the future? Will we lose the pleasure of eating versus food as medicine?
In terms of the pleasure of eating, I don't think we're ever going to move away from the pleasure of eating. It's too central to all of our enjoyment of life. It's who we are culturally, it's who we are socially, it's the way of not only sort of engaging with our families and our friends, and that's immediate families and extended families. I do think some of the pressures of life today, the reduced time, the stresses are going to bring about demand for more convenience foods in a different way of maybe dealing and operating in a food environment, but I don't think the pleasure and taste of food is ever going away.
And according to you, which are the challenges for food companies in this landscape?
I think probably the key challenges ahead fall in two different arenas right now. Now that could change very, very quickly, and these are the challenges. I have one opportunity to think about as well, but I think the challenges really are driven by the marketing and advertising challenges, and that's well beyond television advertising. That's looking at marketing in all its forms, and that's particularly acute in its pressures when it comes to children. Adults are held responsible for their behavior. Kids are something that's very different in terms of the way we view their ability to choose and the special responsibility we all have to ensure they're good choices. I think the other is in the nutrient profiling. Is this whatever the criteria used to divide the good foods, so-called good foods, from the so-called bad foods? How are we going to communicate that? What criteria are we going to use to essentially make those decisions? How are they going to be perceived by consumers? Are they going to be embraced because they're better for us? Are they going to be avoided because they may not seem to deliver the positive taste as such? So I think those are the two most immediate issues facing the broad food industry. Clearly there's some economic and other pressures as well, but both of those two are driven by the issue of obesity. In the future, I think to look out for as we move ahead is this whole issue of nutrigenomics, where in the future, can we provide dietary guidance? Can we provide foods? And it doesn't have to be just sort of enhanced or modified foods. It could be a type of fruit and vegetable, or a particular type of protein source that would meet our unique profiles as individuals, because we're all different. Even within families, we have strengths, we have susceptibilities potentially to chronic disease. If we could keep the enjoyment and the fun and still look at ways to tailor our diets to improve our health profile overall, and certainly the length of our lives with the quality of life with it, then we would have a phenomenal sort of opportunity for the industry ahead.